the Scripting Your Dreams into Life Masterclass Plus. The reason we call it Plus is because there's so much extra yummy stuff going on, including some deeper dives into how to use the system, the Right to Design system, as well as a little sneak peek into your human design and how to relate your human design to your scripting. So I'm really excited about this class. I have been kind of on hiatus from teaching this class. I thought about making it evergreen. I went back and forth, and then I said, you know what? I really love teaching this class in person with my energy. And so here you go. You get me all to yourself. So that being said, let's dive in. Now, some of you guys have taken the original class. Some of this will be a review, but most of it is pretty brand new. So with that, let's go ahead and dig into scripting your dreams into life. That's why I made that double font, so it would be like echoey. Okay, so here we go. We're going to talk today on the agenda about my story, right? How this all happened for me, what scripting is, why does it work, right? Because some people need to know, okay, but why? But why? And there's actually part of your human design where I can tell in 2 seconds if you're a why person, if you're a person who needs to know why. But we're going to talk about why this phenomenon actually works and the scientific evidence behind it. We're going to talk about preparing to script. How do you get yourself ready to make it happen? I'm going to teach you my Right to Design method. And finally, we're going to bring in human design. Okay? And feel free to ask any questions. If you guys have questions that like you don't understand something, go ahead and unmute and say, Emily, hold on 1 second. Totally fine with that. If you have a question or you just want to have a dialogue in the comments, feel free to do that in writing. Yeah. Okay, great. All right, everybody ready? Thumbs up? Yay. Perfect. And Ray has his thumb up. He just doesn't know that I know. Okay, here we go. My story. My story is really amazing and fascinating. And if it wasn't for the fact that it was my own story, I would tell you it was a miracle. But how scripting came to happen in my life is actually really powerful. So this is my magical life. I have done some of the most incredible things that you could imagine. I had my own billboard. I took my family on a dream trip to Disney World. I bought my dream house and remodeled it. I got my car in cash. I got to see the Northern Lights. My bedroom is like my oasis. This is an actual picture of me on the beach. I got to be almost front row with Tony Robbins. I got to be in front of 8 volcanoes. And this is just a taste of what I've been able to build in my life. And I did that because I finally figured out what I wanted. See, a lot of us spend our time talking about what we don't want. I don't want this. I don't want that. Funny story, when I was a little girl, my big sister is 11 years older than me, and it was Christmas time, and my sister said, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, because my mom had taught me well, I said, well, I really just, I'll take anything. Anything you get me is great, right? Because that's the polite thing to say, and that's what my mom had taught me. So I said, whatever you get me will be great. And my sister said, no, I really want to know what you want. And I said, no, honestly, I'm just so lucky to have you as my sister. Whatever you get me will be great. And she says, okay, well, how about this? What don't you want? And that I knew right away. And so I said, well, I don't want the Barbie ice cream shop, right? Because it looked like too many pieces. And I'd seen the commercial and it just didn't appeal to me. Well, what do you think my sister had gotten me for Christmas? So needless to say, that went back to the store. I ended up getting something else. But to this day, my sister still swears that I peeked under the tree at what she had bought me. I swear. But I knew exactly what I didn't want. And most of us know what we don't want. But when it comes to what we do want, that is where we struggle. That is where we have the problem, because we're like, well, I want something nice. I want something good. And so we have to train our brains to get into a place where we can actually figure out what it is that we are trying to create. Okay, because once we know what that is when the magic starts to happen. And that's when we really start to manifest the things that we want. So just to recap, these are all magical things that I've created. I'm going to teach you my method for doing this for yourself. So you're going to get into alignment with what it is that you're trying to create in your life, and this will be your reality too. Different things, but things that you really love. Sound good? Awesome. All right, Laura, we just pulled up our human design chart, so make sure you have that by the end of the presentation, okay? Well, not the end, but like, middle. Try to have it by the middle. Okay, perfect. So what is scripting, right? You guys probably want to know, okay, Neely, enough. I heard enough. I want to do this. What is scripting? It's a manifestation tool for writing your future circumstances and actions as fact, as if they already happened. Okay, so we're writing them from the perspective that they already happened. And this is really crucial. We'll talk about why in a little while. Other names for scripting that you may have heard: future casting, journaling, manuscripting. Okay, these are all similar things. When people talk about journaling, this is kind of, some journaling is kind of what this is. Future casting is another one. You can go find YouTube after YouTube. Oh My Annie is a great one. She talks about scripting all the time and all the amazing things she's created. So if you want to kind of become a scripting junkie, you can go find some different videos and things like that and see the different things that people have created using scripting. Everybody kind of has a different method. My right to design method is mine, right? It's like trademarked and stuff, but everybody has a different method. Visualization makes the brain achieve more. Okay. Dennis Waitley did a experiment back in the 80s with some athletes. I don't remember actually what sport it was, but what he did was he had them run their event or walk their event or bobsled their event. I don't remember. I could look it up, but it's irrelevant. He had them do their event and he recorded their brain waves. Okay. He recorded which synapses fired. And then after he did that, he did the exact same experiment, but this time he told them to do it in their minds and not actually run the race or whatever the race, right? And what he found was that the synapses that fired were the exact same ones that fired when they did the event than when they were simply simulating it in their minds. So what does this tell us? It tells us that the brain doesn't know the difference between what's actually happening and it thinks is happening, okay? So when we can create a picture for the brain, we then send it the message that this is what's happening, and that is when we start to manifest. So by imagining yourself in a situation that you want to create, your brain and your subconscious mind is of the mindset that it's already happening, okay? The mind doesn't know the difference between what's happening and what it thinks is happening. And when you can create a feeling of alignment between what the brain, what the conscious mind thinks is happening and what the subconscious is feeling, we call that coherence. Okay, so when you feel what you're thinking about, which a lot of times we have trouble with, that's where the coherence happens. That's why so many people have trouble with things like affirmations, because they're saying those things, but they're not necessarily feeling them. Hold on, I have to send my husband a reminder that I need tea. My throat is already getting scratchy. So you have to get that connection between those two pieces, okay? Because you can talk about affirmations all day long and be like, I'm so happy. But if you're not pouring that feeling into your body, there's no coherence. You're not going to see a difference. How many of you have ever done affirmations, okay? And you're like, okay, I'm saying this and doing the thing, but this isn't really working. It isn't changing how I feel, right? Because you have to bring that coherence piece in. Great, awesome. Okay, so scripting as visualization. It activates the creative power of the subconscious mind. The subconscious is the creative piece of you. If you think about divine feminine and masculine, the masculine is the manifestation, the go, the get, the do, okay? The feminine is the creative piece. It's the part that wants to design. It's those flowy, curvy shapes as opposed to the squares of the masculine, okay? It's not straight lines, it's curves. And so activating the creative power of the subconscious mind is one of the most powerful things that you can do in your human existence, right? This is where you really want to go and figure out what it is that you want. And so scripting helps you with that. It focuses your brain using the reticular activating system. We're going to talk more about him later, to notice available resources. We're going to go into that in depth in a couple minutes. And then also it magnetizes and attracts the things, people, circumstances you need to achieve your goal or your dream, okay? So once you figure out what it is that you want or what you're trying to create, now all of a sudden the universe, God, source, higher power has something to work with, right? Because it's not just I want something good, it's I want something that fits into this category, that does this, that serves this purpose. Okay, and I know I'm talking really fast. I get really, really passionate about this slide. Can you tell? So there might be questions on this. Feel free to, if you're confused about any of this stuff. But what I really want to show you is that this is a method for making your subconscious mind work for you, okay? It's a way to start bringing things into your field that are in alignment with what you're trying to create. For example, if I say, hey, Samantha, I want you to make me a birthday cake. And she says, okay, great, what kind? And I go, I don't know, just a cake. And then I say to Missy, hey, Missy, I want you to make me a birthday cake with buttercream frosting and pink roses, and I want it to have chocolate ganache filling, and I need it to be 8 inches wide and this tall, and I want it by Thursday. Who do you think's making a better cake? Assuming neither one of them knows what they're doing. Probably Missy, right? Because I've given her the parameters for what it is that I'm trying to create. Okay, now let's say I don't give the example, I don't say that they actually have to make it, right? Maybe Missy's gonna start to notice, oh, there's a cake place down the street from my house. I could pop in there, right? Actually, now that I think of it, I was at National Grocery Chain, Kroger, that's the closest one. I was at Kroger the other day and I saw a cake with purple roses on it. Maybe they have a pink one, right? So she's starting to notice these things in her field. And so this is kind of what I want you to be thinking about. And this comes from the book, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. It is one of my business Bibles. I read it every Sunday. I read a chapter, and I never stop. So I read it as a chapter. Next week, I'll read a chapter. I finish it. I flip it over. I read it again. It is a really, really powerful book. I highly recommend it. Why does scripting work? This is where it gets kind of trippy. Okay, but scripting actually has a scientific reason why it works, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. This is the double slit test. This right here, this scientific experiment will absolutely blow your mind, but don't take it from me. Take it from Dr. Quantum or Professor Quantum or whatever his name is. I totally just messed up that intro. This cartoon guy, listen to him. Can you hear it okay?
And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So when we throw things, that is matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Let's go quantum this time. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. We get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought, maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they can interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, so it was aware it was being watched. And it was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange, never world of quantum events. What is matter? Marbles or waves? And waves of what? And what does an observer have to do with any of this? The observer collapsed the wave function simply by observing.
Okay, awesome. So, hold on. I've got 17 windows open here. I'm like, wait. Okay, there we go. Start video. Perfect. Okay, so what this tells us, right? If you guys are like, okay, great, science, yes, and what the heck does that mean? What this tells us is that when it comes to, there are so many different possibilities for how something can go until we collapse and observe them. So by scripting, by writing things out the way you want them to go, it is as if you are witnessing them already happening. And what happens when we witness something? It behaves like a particle instead of an electron, right? It behaves like it can only have one outcome because we can't see it have several outcomes. We can only see one. And so this is how we know that scripting works, because by writing this out, by visualizing, by stepping into a reality where this is true, we are collapsing all the other possibilities and observing just that one possibility. Questions on that? Does that make sense? Is anyone confused? Great. Okay, so remember I told you we're going to talk about my friend, the reticular activating system. Here he is. This is the reticular activating system. It is a system in your brain, and what its job is to do is to filter information. Okay, so something comes into your field and the reticular activating system determines whether or not you get to be aware of it. Now you have to remember, you have 5 senses, right? 6 if you count your intuition. And so there is sensory information being inputted to you all the time in your sight, in your hearing, in your touch, things that you don't even realize, right? Like if I say to you, hey, wiggle your left small toe, your baby toe, all of a sudden you're aware of your toe, but you weren't until I said that, right? Or if I say, hey, think about your right thumb, now all of a sudden you can feel the sensation in that thumb. But until I said that, all of that information was kind of obscured from you because your RAS determined that you didn't need it, okay? So all the time you are getting information fed to you through the reticular activating system that it thinks you need to have in your life to have the best outcome. Okay, so when you start to dial in what you want it to show you, then you start to see the opportunities and the things that are right around the corner. See, the thing is, guys, people think that having what you want means you have to have money or you have to be lucky or you have to be in the right place at the right time. But the truth of the matter is, it's more 99% about knowing what you want and allowing the field to put it somewhere where you can access it. For example, I had a client who wanted to redo her living room. She did not have a lot of money. So I said, well, what do you want to do to it? She said, I don't know. I just hate it. I hate the way it looks. I hate that I haven't had new furniture in a long time. I said, great, let's start there. What furniture do you want? Well, I don't want this furniture. Right, yes. What furniture do you want? Tell me one piece of furniture you want. Well, I really want a new dining room table and and new chairs. Awesome. Okay, what does it look like? I don't know. I guess I want it to be wood, and I probably want the chairs to have fabric. Love it. Okay, so I want you to visualize what it will look like when that table is in this house. Okay, can you do that? Yeah, I guess I could do that. The next day, that same client called me and said, you're not going to believe this. And I thought to myself, yes, I am, but go ahead. And she said, I was on Facebook, and this lady down the street was getting ready to move, and she's moving overseas. Her husband's in the military, and they have a gorgeous, almost brand new dining room table with 6 chairs that they were getting rid of for $100. And I said, oh, well, is that something you can afford? She's like, yeah, it's like $1,000 table. I was like, wonderful, great, right? So when you tell the field what you want, all of a sudden those things start to appear in the field, but you have to do the work. And that is what scripting is. It is work, plain and simple, right? Like there is elbow grease involved in this system. So just so you know, work ahead, right? I should have had a caution sign like work ahead, men working, women working. Okay, so that is why you will notice that if you go car shopping, right, and you're like, I really want a blue Audi, like this is what I really want, this is the car I want, you're gonna start seeing them everywhere. Right? Have you ever had that happen where you're looking for something and then you see them everywhere? This is why, because the reticular activating system goes, oh, you want that? Here's more of that. Guess what? This also works the other way. So if you are like, oh, crap, that bill is due. Oh my gosh, I hate bills. All the universe hears, all the reticular activating system hears is bills, and not like the Destiny's Child song. And what happens? You start getting flooded with bills. You start getting flooded with owing people money, and you're like, where did this all come from? Well, you told the field you wanted it, and so it provided. Okay, so we have to really start being intentional about what it is that we're putting into our field. And this is where scripting helps, because we're literally creating a new reality. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to teach you the method. When you do this and you do it consistently and you do it, what's the word I'm looking for? Faithfully, that's the word. When you do it consistently and you do it faithfully, you will find that your results happen pretty darn quick. Okay. All right. So now we know why scripting works. Told you a little bit about it. Are you guys ready to learn how to script? Yay! Awesome. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is prepare. And this is a really important part of this whole system. Oh, Sheila joined us. Hi, Sheila. Sheila, just make sure that you grab your human design chart and have it nearby so that we have it for the presentation. So if you don't have it right now, go to jovianarchive.com, grab your human design chart, because we'll be looking at it in a little bit. Okay. All right, so scripting vibes, getting in the mood. You want to sit somewhere with minimal distractions. Most of us have little kids, so I get that it might not be somewhere totally silent, but you want somewhere where you can actually think a little bit, okay? Because the more distractions that you have, the less you're going to be able to tap into your own dream desires. You want to remove all social media devices. Yes, you need to do this by hand. A lot of people are like, well, can I type it? No, you cannot type it. There has to be a connection between the mind and the body. So it has to be written. Samantha I've already gotten on to her about this. She's like, oh yeah, I did it on my phone. No, it doesn't work on your phone. You want to write a list of the feelings that you want to have. Okay. So the feelings you want to have. Think about things that you're trying to create. Love, abundance, excitement. Start to think about those feelings. And then I want you to set a timer for about 30 seconds to feel each feeling on the list. Okay, each feeling on the list. So really just kind of, okay, I want to think about a time when I was excited. And so a time when I was excited, when I found out what my first child was going to be, found out she was a girl, I was so excited. What did that feel like? Start to feel that feeling in your body. Go back into that moment, see what you saw, feel what you felt, hear what you heard, all those yummy things, okay? And then as you start to feel those feelings, go ahead and set a timer for about 30 seconds. Really let yourself feel that feeling and start to get into what it feels like to have those emotions, okay? And that's how we get in the mood to script. And you want to do that as often as you can when you do this, okay? It's really important to get yourself in the mindset to do this work. Okay. And you always want to start with gratitude. Gratitude is the key piece of this, because here's the thing. When we are scripting, we're writing as if it already happened. And if something really magical happened to you, what would you do? You would be grateful. You'd be grateful to the universe. You'd be grateful to source, God, higher power, whatever it is. When playing music, that depends, Samantha. That's a good question. Would playing music help when you're struggling to get into the right mindset? And I love how you use the word right. That's awesome. It depends, because for me, that would be distracting unless it was music that didn't have words. But I did actually put a playlist on you guys' Trello template. So even if you just play it before you start scripting, absolutely, music helps. I have a lot of hype up songs and dreamy songs and things like that. So that's one of the bonuses that you're getting. But great question. But yeah, so if something magical happened, right? If your partner came to you and said, here's a dozen roses, you wouldn't go, oh yeah, thanks, and you put them over there, right? You'd be like, thank you so much. That was so sweet of you to think of me. So you want to really start with the feeling of, oh my gosh, like the feeling of gratitude, right? Like I'm already thankful for the things that are coming to me, because in my mind, they're already here. Now, let me tell you guys, and this is a little bit off book, the hardest thing that you will ever do is learn to trust the universe. Okay, God, source, higher power, whatever, to trust something outside of yourself, right? We live in a society where it's like, if you don't do this, you're going to starve. You need to do this. You need to do that. And we have this fear matrix that's constantly being pulsated in our ears. But I will tell you, when you start to believe and you really start to trust that outside source, that God, that source, that higher power, that, whatever it is that you believed in, things start to fall into place so magically and so fast and so seemingly effortlessly. But because our ego holds on to that idea that I have to do and I have to go and I have to get and I can't ever just trust the field, that's why we stay stuck. We keep ourselves stuck. Once you let go of that need to always be in charge, you will be flabbergasted at the way that the universe rolls out the red carpet for you. Okay? And you may not believe me now, but one day you'll do it and you'll be like, oh my gosh, This is all I had to do, because it's so easy to do. And at the same time, it's absolutely impossible for our ego, right? Like it would be so easy, but then like in the back of your head, you're like, yeah, but what if this doesn't work? And what if I blah, blah, blah? But what I want to say to you, and Source is kind of pushing me on this one, you can do all of this and still do all the crazy busy things that you're doing to run in place to make the things happen. You can do this too. This isn't a betrayal of being responsible. This isn't a betrayal of doing the things that you need to do to make the bills, to pay the bills and to do the things. This is in addition to. Now, eventually you may get to the point where you don't need to do that stuff and this works for you all by itself. But in the meantime, understand this is a supplement. This isn't, hey, go sit on your butt with your hands under you and let the universe take care of you. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, though, is that this is something that you can do on the side that will start to really hone your relationship with your higher power. Okay? So, rant over. Let's continue. Okay. So, the right to design method. There are kind of two different pieces of this particular technique, because I have learned a lot of different scripting techniques over my time of scripting, and there's ones that work really well for me, and there's ones that don't work well for me. And there are some that have aspects that I like and some that have aspects that really don't help me. So what I've done is I've taken a whole bunch of different ones, Franken-squished them together and created the right to design method. Yes, Franken-squish is a word that I just invented. You guys are all welcome to use it. There is no trademark on it. Okay, so here you have your handy dandy Trello Planner. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. This is a template. It was a template. The template a couple minutes ago. Weird. Okay, well, it was a template. I don't know what happened, but that's all right. We'll figure that out in a couple minutes if we have to. I know that Trello changed all their settings and they're changing things around, and maybe they won't let it be a template anymore, but I could have sworn it was a template. Yeah, see right here, create board from template, crazy people. Anyway, oh, maybe because I'm not logged in over there, maybe because it thinks that I'm, okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. So this template is not fitting in the window. That's weird. Okay, let's do this. Still not fitting. Okay. So I don't know why this is beige. Anyway, this teaches you how to use the board, and this is going to be the part of scripting that is going to take you the longest. Okay. So this is really powerful, but it is going to take a lot of your time, and that's okay, because we want to get really good and clear on what it is that we're trying to create. So the first thing that I want you to look at are your long-term goals, okay? And I've got some little questions here for you to answer. If you guys don't know how to use Trello, it's super easy. You click on the card and then you write into the card and press enter. That's it, okay? So what is your ultimate goal in your life, right? You may have one thing, you may have several things. Go ahead and jot those down. By the way, guys, when you're going through this template, don't feel like you need to have the answers tattooed on your face. Things are going to change. The more that you outline and start to really get to know and dig into your intuition, the more that you're going to notice that this stuff is going to change, okay? It's going to evolve. It's going to become much deeper. And so I want you to understand that, and don't be afraid to write something that you turn around and change later. Okay. Where do you wish to be in 5 years? This is a pretty self-explanatory one, but think about where do you want to be. Think about how old your kids will be, right? Or how old, your spouse will be, or whatever, how old your dog will be. I don't know. Start to really kind of think about, what does next level you look like in 5 years? Maybe some things will be very much the same. If you already live in your dream house, then there's no reason to think of yourself anywhere else, right? If you've already created something that you want to keep, don't feel like everything has to change. It doesn't. Where do you wish to be in 10 years? Maybe we're looking a little bit more in the legacy, right? 15 years. And so for each one of those, I have a handy little PDF piece of paper for you to print out and write down those goals. Now, for these, I would recommend that you jot them down up here, okay? And then write them from the perspective of where you are at that time. So jot down all the ideas. Okay, so like I want to live in $1 million mansion. I want to have 17 puppies. I want to have a banana tree in my front yard, like all those things, and then write them out as if those are your reality when you get down here. Okay, and so I've got some brainstorm questions for you that will help you to kind of really nail this down. What career? Love, finances, health, social life, learning and professional development, your spiritual, your safety and environment. Okay, so I want you to do that for each of those pieces. Now you may say, Amy Lee, how am I going to write my 5-year and my 10-year and my 15-year all at once? Guys, there's no like time limit on this. Okay, I'm not going to come back to you on Friday and say, well, is it all done? This is a gradual process. It may be easier for you to write out your 15-year plan than it is to write your 5-year plan. It may be easier for you to write your 5-year plan than it is to write your 15-year plan, okay? It may be equally impossible for you to do all of them. So don't feel like you have to get these done in any certain order or that one has to be, as good as the other. We're just starting to get what it is that's up here out onto the paper so we can start to put these kind of into a plan, okay? So, hold on. Yeah, I don't need that. I need this. Yeah, so real quick, I just want to pop over to this slide and say, this is called big picture scripting, okay? And the reason I call it that, I want you to think of this page, this Trello board, like your pantry, okay? So when you buy things, when you go grocery shopping, you buy things like nuts and flour and all these pieces, and then vegetables and all the things. Like if you ever watch a cooking show, they always have all these different ingredients that are in the pantry. And then what do they do with the ingredients? They take those ingredients and they make them into a meal. Okay, so if the big picture is your pantry, this is all of the ingredients that you're going to want to cook with. And then as we get more into the methods, we're going to use those to make the meals, okay? So the other part of the system is going to be the meals. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Okay, so back over here. So you're going to take those things and build the pantry, right? Get an idea of what all those things look like for those plans, okay? There are going to be things that you go, you know what? I really want to go on a Mediterranean cruise. Okay, but you didn't really know that until you thought about it. And now you're like, well, that's this much, and I got to go for 2 weeks, and I don't think I'll be able to do that while the baby's little, so that's probably going to go on the 10-year plan, or probably going to go on the 5-year plan, right? And so you start to pull these things out and really just get a bigger picture of what it is that you're trying to create. Don't worry about the details right now. That's not really important. It's not a big deal. We don't necessarily need to belabor that. But you want to just think about, okay, what are these things and how can I start to pull them out of my head and put them onto the paper, okay? Once you've done that, then you can start marching through the rest of the year, okay? So once you've got all those things there, then you can say, okay, what do I want to achieve this year? What new things do I want to own? What items from the long-term list would I like to accomplish this year? So maybe there are things that you want to accomplish long-term, right? What is the ultimate goal? Where do you wish to be? All of those things. Maybe you pull some of those out and say, well, I want that in the next year. I want that in 2022. I don't want to wait 5 years. And so that's going to go on this list. What new people do you want in your life this year? Think about that, right? I want to have someone who I can hang out and have coffee with. I want someone that can come over and mind the kids. I want someone who likes to read books and, wants to take turns picking a book to read. I want another couple that my husband and I can go hang out with that will enjoy. Okay? What will your financial status be this year? That is obviously pretty self-explanatory. We've got questions again. Okay? So a little bit more specific here, beauty and fashion, friendship and networking. So just start to think about those and take the time to throw them on the list. Everybody with me so far? Any questions? Good. Okay, then we take the same thing, and now from the year, what do we want to do this month? What do we want to get done in the next month, right? If you have it on your bucket list to go do the Polar Express, I think a lot of different places have the train that they turn into the Polar Express. Maybe you want to do that in December, okay? Maybe you want to do it at the end of November, seeing as how everybody goes from like Halloween to Christmas now. So maybe you want to do that now. So what goes into this month? And you're going to start to jot down all those things that go into the month, okay? Same thing with the week. Of the things I want to do this month, what do I want to do this week? And then any special events that you want to script for. Okay, so if there's something like you want to do a TED Talk, maybe that's in this year. Maybe you want to put some stuff about what's going to happen there. I'm going to be selected for, a TEDx talk. I'm going to be selected for TED. I'm going to have people buy my book. Okay. I'm going to get on the dean's list if you're in school, like whatever it is. So what are those special events? And then as promised, over here, you've got your Scripting Your Dreams to Life YouTube playlist. Eventually I'll make a Spotify one, but in case anybody didn't have Spotify, I just figured I'd do the YouTube one. So excuse the commercials, but this will definitely hype you up. You can listen to it while you're doing your gratitude, while you're getting in the mood. This is definitely something that I highly recommend. And we're going to come back to this board in a couple minutes. But for right now, let's go back to my friend, the PowerPoint. Okay, so big picture scripting. Any questions on that? Pretty self-explanatory, yeah? A little bit of work, a little bit of elbow grease. Is this Trello board the same as the first class? No, it's a little bit different. I added some things and I moved some things around. So I'm gonna put the link to the new one, and you have a whole different, because this is a different class, you have a whole different platform in there. So just use the one that goes in this platform, the one that you got the email for. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Great. So yeah, again, this is like your pantry. This is where you're kind of getting all of those goals out, like everything's laid on the table. And then we go, okay, I want some pumpkin and I want some flour and I want some chocolate chips, and kind of synthesize that meal. Okay, and that's where the day-to-day comes in. So far we've gotten as far as weekly. You can certainly do that, but here's the other piece of the strategy. This is the daily method. Okay, so this is the part where Samantha gets so aggravated because I make her do this every single day. For those of you who don't know, Samantha's one of my private clients. So yeah, she has to sit through this all the time. So your daily method is divided into two different sections. Okay, so I recommend that you get a journal, or a 3-subject notebook is really ideal, or 5 if you want. And you make a section for wants and intentions. And we're going to talk about these in detail in just a minute, but the wants and intentions are a really important part of this system. Okay, so let's talk first about the wants. The wants are the things that you want to create, right? Going back to the big list, you can pull them over from there. Or if, as you're doing this, you think of other things, maybe they're even shorter term things. Okay, maybe you really want to get good tickets for the concert that goes on sale on Friday. Maybe that didn't make it onto your big board because it's too timely. So this is more for the timely stuff. I really want that promotion at work. I really want to win that gift card that I, signed up the sweepstakes for. Okay, so these are the things that you want. So you want to put all the things that you want. And I want to remind you that not everything that you want is going to be far-fetched. Some of the things that you want are going to be things that are easy for you to get. So maybe you wake up and today you want, I don't know, a pumpkin spice latte, right? Because Laura's here, have to have pumpkin spice something. That's not going to be hard for you to get, right? That's very easy. You drive to the store, get yourself a sorry, I'm getting so many emails that I'm like, you guys, I don't know how to, does anyone, hold on. Right. How do I make it so that my emails don't show up on my screen? Can you tell me that later? Because they they pop up like when I'm trying to talk, and I have ADD and I get so distracted. And I'm like, do I have a will? No, I don't need to be talking about that right now. Thank you. So your wants don't necessarily have to be far-fetched things, okay? They can be things that are very easy for you to create, because here's the magic of scripting. I'm going to tell you right now. The magic of scripting is taking the mundane and mixing it with the magic to create your life, okay? You don't want all things that are so far-fetched that you can't imagine them happening, and you also don't want all things that are boring that don't light you up. You've got to have a combination of the two. That is where the magic happens. Hold on one second. Oh, I hate you, Laura. Caramel sea salt, that sounds so good. Caramel hot chocolate is my favorite. Wait, no, salted caramel hot chocolate is my favorite. Okay, so the wants are things that you are trying to create in your life, and I just want you to just brain dump them. Okay, so get yourself your notebook. Section 1 is going to be wants and intentions. So you're just going to write out everything you can think of, right? I'm trying to think of, mine isn't in here. It's in there because I was scripting already today. But you might say something like, I want a brand new wardrobe. I want my children to go to bed early. I want to have a great Thanksgiving, right? These are all things. But you also are going to put things on there that you're already doing that you want. It's okay to want things that are going to come true. And this is a really important part of it. Okay. So that's the wants. Then once you've got the wants, I want you to turn them. Oh, so it looks like I deleted the slide by accident. Way too far. Hold on. That's fine. Whatever. I can work with it. Oh, Kay's here. Yay, Kay. Okay, so once you've got your wants down, you're now going to take all your wants and you're going to turn them into intentions. And the difference between a want and an intention, hold on one second. I just want to make sure. Now I want one too. I know, aren't they so good? Oh my goodness. Kay, thank you for joining us. If you will go grab your human design chart, go to jovianarchive.com. JOVIAN archive.com, and just make sure you have that. We're going to need it in a couple minutes, okay?
I don't think she heard that. She just connected to audio.
Oh, okay. Okay, hi. You're going to want to go get your human design chart. So go to jovianarchive.com, JOVIAN archive.com, and grab your free human design chart because you're going to need it in a couple minutes. Fabulous. Okay, so then you're going to take your wants and you're going to turn them into intentions. And the difference between want and intend, right, is what? I wish and I am. Okay? There's a big difference between I wish and I am, right? You feel the difference in the power when you say that. I wish for $1 million. I am creating $1 million. One of them really kind of pushes you forward. Okay, so you're going to want to turn all those wants into intentions. I intend to. And again, remember, this includes the things that are going to happen anyway. I intend to have a great Thanksgiving. I intend to have the kitchen clean before we go out for Black Friday. Okay, you can get as nuanced as you want. So that's going to be the first section of your notebook. Questions on this? Okay, good. Next section. So you're going to do a morning and an evening script. So your second section is going to be for the morning. Now this gets tricky, and I did a much better job of explaining this time around than I did last time, so you won't get confused. The daily method morning is to script the day as if it is that night. Okay. So you're writing your script from the perspective that it's already the end of that day. And you're reflecting on it. That is what you're actually writing in your morning. In your morning, you are writing as if it is the evening, and I did go ahead and pull an example for you. So remember, you're going to start with gratitude. Thank Source for what you have received. Okay? So what you have received, you're thanking all because I already got it. I'm so grateful. Oh my goodness, how lucky am I? I have the most incredible life. Pour the emotion into it. Pour the energy into it. That is going to raise your vibration and get you to a place where you're going to start to really manifest amazing things because you're going to be in vibration with them. Okay. So today was amazing. I am so grateful for my incredible life, right? Really, really punch up that gratitude. It doesn't have to be this. You can say anything you want. Oh my gosh, I am just buzzing from how amazing today was. Make it corny, make it silly, whatever you need to do to really raise that vibration, like a little kid that just found out that they got what they wanted for Christmas. Okay? Got it. Okay, so here is an example, which came across much bigger here, and I didn't need to add it on this next slide, but I did. So today I woke up in my big fluffy bed and made myself some coffee. I sat quietly and listened to the birds chirping as I sipped. Then I went and got dressed and started my day. I drove to work and there was no traffic. I got there in time to have breakfast with my best friend. We chatted about the cruise our families are taking together next month. I worked until lunch and got so much done. At lunchtime, the boss surprised us with Chinese takeout, and we all sat in the conference room and chatted well past the allotted hour. When I returned to my desk, I had several messages from business owners who wanted to work with me. I called some of them back and spent the rest of the day booking appointments. When the workday was over, the traffic coming home was just as light. I swung by the grocery store to grab dinner, and everything I wanted to purchase was on sale. I came home and saw that the house was spotless because my spouse had beat me home. Not my spouse had beat me, had beaten me home. I was met with a glass of wine and a kiss. We ate dinner together and chatted about our day. Then we watched a movie on the couch and fell asleep. Okay. There's not a lot of magic in this day, but if this was your life and you worked in an office, would you like this day? Pretty good day, right? So there are some very mundane things here, right? I got to have breakfast with my best friend. Now you may say that's not really a big deal, but if you script it and it happens, that gets to be evidence that this is working for you, right? I swung by the grocery store to grab dinner and everything I wanted to purchase was on sale. Maybe not that exciting, but you know what is exciting is that lots of people want to book appointments with you, right? That's a magical thing. There are people that want to work with you and they want to pay you. That's a big deal. Having a glass of wine from your spouse at the end of the day, maybe, if you want more romance, that's a big deal. So you see how we're taking the two aspects, the things that are going to happen anyway, right? Like we're going to have lunch on Friday. We always get Chinese on Friday. But it was awesome. And we got to stay in the room even longer. And it was yummy and we had fun. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be, and then a unicorn swooped down and picked me up and we flew off into the sunset. I've heard that you can get really, really seasick, car sick, motion sick on the back of a unicorn anyway. So I would not recommend that as a form of travel. Okay. So do we all kind of get how this morning thing works? Okay. And for those of you who took the last class, is this way clearer than the other one? Oh, good. I was hoping. Okay, perfect. So that's the morning. Okay. And then in the evening, you're going to write out exactly what happened. Be specific as possible. Be as specific. Where did you learn your grammar, Amy Lee? Be as specific as possible. Okay? So this one, you don't need an example for. You're literally going to write it exactly how it happened. Okay? And if you're a person who's like, but I don't remember things that happened. Okay, well, for the purposes of this, write down a couple little ideas of like what happened during your day in your phone. You can write them in your phone this time, Samantha, so that when you go to write your script in the evening, you have that information available to start writing. Okay? Questions on either piece of this? Don't all talk at once. Good? Okay, awesome. Okay, now, I don't know if I put it in here, and I think it's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Advanced. But I want to bring up that some people say, okay, well, what happens if there's something I want to create, but I want to start creating it, but I don't necessarily think it could happen in a day, right? Like, let's say there's something I'm trying to do, like I'm auditioning for a show and they're not actually posting the auditions till like a week from Thursday. In that case, what you can do is you can do an extended script. Okay, so what that looks like is that before you go to write your evening script, you can write out a whole script of what happened for the last 10 days. Stay with me. So what that looks like is you go, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this, gratitude. I had the most amazing week and a half. It all started when I was scripting, and then from there, you write as if it's 10 days in the future and you're recapping everything that happened for the last 10 days. Make sense? Now you may say, okay, do I have to write every single day? No. But if you want some scripting details to have happened over the course of more than just one day, this is the way to do it. Okay? So if you went for a job interview on Monday and then you want to find out, by Thursday if you get the job, then you could write out a script from the point of view of a week and a half in the future. I had this interview and it went so amazing and I was so sure I was going to get it. And then guess what? By Wednesday, I actually got the job. And on Friday, I started and I already had my first client. See how you take that huge spot of time and you can script that whole section. It doesn't have to be every single minute, play by play, but you want to make sure that you're just getting the gist of that 10-day period. So if you're going to do that, I like to do it on Sunday. It takes a little while, probably closer to 45 minutes than, 20 to a half. And I script out the 10-day, and then after that, I do the recap for whatever the morning was. So it's actually, I'm doing 2 evening scripts on Sundays. And you can say, okay, but wait, if Sunday to Sunday is not 10 days, it's okay if it overlaps. And I don't do it all the time. I do it if there's actually, like, for example, if I'm having a launch, okay, a launch is 10 days. So on a Sunday, I'm going to say, oh my gosh, and this is so amazing. It all started when I started my launch and it was so good. And I had 3 people the first day. And then, in the middle of the week, I had more people. And then on Friday, my friend asked me to come on her podcast. And then so many people signed up. Do you see what I mean? So it's like something that takes a little bit more time. It's okay to do that extra script. Cool? Awesome. Okay, perfect. All right, so that concludes the scripting piece of this training. We are going to talk about it as a function of human design later, but I want to make sure, are there any questions, comments, concerns, anything you're unsure about on the scripting that we want to talk about, go over, anything like that? Wow, okay, good. Usually there's a lot of questions at this point.